Yeah, I'd like to thank the university for inviting me here to speak today. As is usually the case with anything put on by Bangor, they kind of give you a section to talk within, and then you've got to try and kind of figure out what you're going to talk about. So obviously, a lot of this section was kind of around technology in homes. Now, although as some of the things I'll talk about, use of technology is increasingly becoming something that local authorities are looking at in terms of trying to, I guess, prevent injuries or be able to monitor people at a kind of more cost-effective way. What I decided better to do maybe just to kind of give a slightly broader view of, I guess, some of the kind of challenges and how we're responding to that within local authorities, within a typical local authority. So just in terms of Cardiff, it's the capital city of Wales. We're a unitary authority who provide a very broad range of services, but obviously a key service that we do provide is around social care. And of our £380 million a year spend, we're looking at about £130 million of that is spent on provision of social care. By that, I'm talking about like home care, so supporting people in their own homes, residential nursing care, but really an increasing move towards more different types of support, which are really generally very accommodation-based. So I kind of figured the accommodation usage would then kind of link in with the guys talking more about some of the technology and kitting some of the homes out. So in terms of challenges, I guess it's kind of well publicised the financial pressures that public sector in the UK and local authorities in particular are facing. So we've been going through a period of austerity for around 5-6 years now, constantly looking at ways in which we can become more efficient and reduce costs as budgets have continued to decrease. And in terms of budget pressures, social care is one of the key areas that's funded from within the sort of what we would call our general fund revenue budget. So it's an area that's constantly being scrutinised to see if we can take costs out. But that's at a time when we are facing increasing demand and pressures on those resources, and also increasing expectations. So there are families and service users have different expectations about the level of support that they can receive. And we also, and obviously I'm from Wales, and so there's a new Social Service and Wellbeing Act, which is really putting extra expectations on local authorities in terms of better meeting people's outcomes, greater independence, greater choice. So again, these are things that we need to consider in terms of how we develop our strategies for supporting these people. And what we're finding then is there are increasing pressures on providers. So we've got something in the UK called the National Living Wage. So there have been increases to that. Also other increasing costs around pension, expectations around payments of travel costs, etc. So these are putting extra pressures on providers. And so what we're finding, I think it's fair to, and there was some news on BBC News this week about some of the fragility of the supply chains that we have in Wales, particularly around sort of home care and residential. So it's I guess within this market, the way in which you approach the market, you really need to be aware of those pressures. So the kind of general response to this is about working much more closely with other public services, so particularly with health. So within the new Act, there is specific focus on greater integration between social care, which is managed by the local authorities, and health. Yeah, and one of the things that we're actually looking at is something called pool budgets, and that's where actually we start to bring our funds together. Because traditionally, one of the problems we have is that people, you get this battle between health and social care about whose responsibility should it be to look after people. And really, I guess the idea behind it is to try and remove that. So actually, the focus is on supporting the individual and better meeting their needs and outcomes. There's also a greater around choice around. So again, this is about how our kind of role is changing. So whereas we've always been the kind of commissioner of services, we've always gone out and contracted for those services. Increasingly, to try and give individuals more choice, it's about something called direct payments. So it's personalisation within England. It's effectively about giving individuals money so they can go and make arrangements for their own care. I think it's fair to say that often the money we give them is fairly inadequate, I think it's fair to say. But it's, that's kind of one of the approaches that we're taking. Far greater focus on early intervention and prevention. So I think, again, some of the technology aspects really is about how you can kind of prevent people from, becoming ill or and being able to monitor them. And I think and what's becoming increasingly important is about the emphasis on alternate accommodation options. So whereas kind of traditionally it was either we look after people in their home or they go into a residential home, what we're now looking at is a much broader range of accommodation options, including sheltered housing. And we have something within the UK as well called extra care, which is really a kind of accommodation-based service, but with a care element wrapped up in it, which gives 24-hour care. And I'll talk a little bit about that now. So really, in kind of how we've had to kind of respond to this, I guess what we've had to do in this area, now in my area, I've got responsibility across the board, so corporate, ICT, construction, highway maintenance, etc. But I think what we find is the way that we deal with those markets is very different to the way in which we engage with the social care market. And so what we're finding is although we tend to always look to engage with markets, so we'll always do some early market engagement. Actually, what we find now is the level of engagement we do with our home care, our residential nursing market is significantly increased, so that we have very regular constructive forums and meetings with those, with our providers on an ongoing basis. And an example of that is one of the things that we've done with our market is something called Be a Care Worker campaign, which is actually where we are working with providers to try and actually help them to recruit new care workers, because that tends to be the kind of limiting factors. And the thing that we don't have enough of are people who want to be care workers, because actually they can get the same pay if they go and work in a supermarket or whatever. So it's, and so what we're trying to do is build up that as a potential career where people can actually go on and become qualified social workers from it. We're also finding, whereas we would traditionally have contracted directly just as an authority in social care, what we're increasingly looking to do is to work more closely with other public sector partners, so health in particular. So actually, when we're going to the market now, we're looking at commissioning and contracting, not just as a separate local authority, but actually with our health partners as well. And what we've looked to do as well, traditionally we've kind of tended to work frameworks, block contracts. And to be honest, we've delivered quite significant savings in the past through, I guess, aggregation, the fear factor of putting a framework out that people feel if they don't get the contract, so they sharpen their prices. But actually, that environment now just isn't really there, that fragility of the supply chain. So what it means now is that we're actually looking at different types of models of how we engage with the market. And one of the things we've done quite extensively in Cardiff is use of dynamic purchasing systems. They're not perfect, as with anything, but they do at least enable the market to actively engage with us, and it allows some flexibility around pricing. And to be honest, we're doing a big piece of work with our home care providers at the moment, and actually, in terms of what our new model would be like, and the feedback very much from them is that they want the current model through the DPS to evolve and develop rather than looking to do something different. But the big focus, and I guess traditionally procurement, our role was just following being the custodians, I guess, of the EU and the UK regs, and making sure we follow the procedures and making sure we're compliant with everything. I think certainly in the UK, I think that's almost a given, that what we do is compliant with the regulations. Really, the role of procurement certainly within UK, I would say, is much more about delivering value services, quality, helping to drive innovation, different ways of working. So challenging the demand and the usage of different services within the organisation. And so what that means is we've developed a much stronger, closer working relationship with our key stakeholders. And one of the key areas where we do a lot of work at the moment is working with our services to help them to change different delivery models. And one of the key drivers for that within social care is around looking at different accommodation options. And really that's around how can we use accommodation to help promote independence, because that's a key requirement within the Act and within our policy. It's how we can prevent declines in health and well-being. So actually the preventative agenda means we're trying to find ways that we can help people to stay happier, I guess, because I think the view is if people stay happier, they're going to stay healthier for longer. So a lot of what we do is very much around looking for accommodation solutions, linking with locality type working, maximising use of community resources, and importantly, recognising how people can help themselves and others. So I think in the UK, we've kind of become a little bit of a nanny state that everybody has to be looked after. We're always thinking about what's wrong with people. The big shift in social care now, from a case, from a social work practice point of view, is really looking at what people can do for themselves, looking at people as assets, so what can they do, but also what can they do for other people as well. So, for example, with the extra care schemes that we run, what we look to try and do within that, so it's an accommodation setting, but we look to try and have people with a range of different needs. So it's not all people with high-level needs, we try and have people with low-level needs as well, with the idea being that they can then support other people that live within that setting. So I'd say it's quite a different approach. And then just taking that a little bit further, older people, what we're looking to try and do is reduce our reliance on residential care. There's some work that's done by a local government-sponsored group called Housing Link, and what they've said is they feel from the research they've done that 2/3 of people who are put into a residential home could actually have their needs better met in an alternative accommodation setting, such as extra care or a sheltered housing scheme. Yeah. So really, and actually in terms of supporting independence and their integration within the community, then those are obviously far better settings for people to work on. So what we're looking to do in Cardiff, and I think a lot of local authorities in Wales certainly looking at this, is building on the extra care schemes that they've already got. And what we're also looking to do is much more build on locality work and actually starting to make sure that any resources within the community are kind of best brought together to try and support those people. Okay. Now, you might think, what's this supposed to do with procurement? But I guess that's the changing face of it, really, because actually by looking at these types of initiatives, actually, it's about managing demand. Yeah. So if we can actually be more effective at how we bring together community resources to support people, it means potentially we're able to reduce demand for residential home. And also it's about prevention around hospital admissions. So one of the big, obviously, causes for hospital admissions for older people, obviously, is living in unsuitable accommodation. So if we can sort the accommodation issue out, potentially you stop some of the falls, which means you stop lengthy hospital stays and costs there. And then obviously often those people are then having to go into the residential nursing situation. So again, it's about making sure that we're engaged in terms of the whole model for delivery of care. And then finally, I think what we also do, because that's looking after older people, the other thing for accommodation really, and I guess this is particularly, I think across all these areas, it's worth saying that always looking for technology to try and support people in those settings. But when you're looking at learning disabilities, mental health, so people who've got more complex needs, then really the focus for us really is about, again, it's accommodation based. It's about often what we have to do, there's sometimes a limitation on the availability of specialist accommodation. And so what we have to do then is send people what we call out of county, so into other areas. So again, a big focus for us and for a lot of authorities is about working with the market. So if we're looking to try and reduce standard residential care, it's about starting to engage with the market to try and look to build more accommodation that meets the requirements. And we have something, I guess, in the UK called commissioning, which is generally intended to be evidence-based, about projecting future demands for services. And that's really the big focus now, is about trying to move away from residential care, but then look at maybe some of those providers being able to provide some of that kind of specialist support. And also what we're looking to do is increasingly move to what we call more independent options. And then really that's like trying to move people from the residential care setting and either supporting people in their own homes through kind of coaching support services, but also through, so particularly for people with learning disabilities, mental health, to be able to move them into supported living schemes, which again are very much focused on supporting people, giving them that independence, really to try and help them to maximise the outcomes that they can fulfil in their lives. Okay, so that's my presentation.
Thank you very much.